Welcome back, everybody. You're on Artist on Record, your ultimate intimate conversation with your favorite artist. If you love rock and roll as much as we do, make sure you subscribe to the channel. Also, check it out All Access VIP Backstage Pass. It's where you can find these episodes unedited, uncut, and much, much more. Links are down below. In the meantime, I had a great conversation with legendary musician Edgar Winter. Edgar was on here to talk about the album he did for his brother Johnny Winter, Brother Johnny. Edgar's hard work paid off. On February 5th, 2023, he won a Grammy Award for Best Contemporary Blues Album for Brother Johnny. Well, with a little help from Edgar's friends, on the album, you'll find cats like Joe Walsh, Ringo Starr, Billy Gibbons, Steve Lukather, Michael McDonald, Joe Bonamassa, and many, many more. They go over tracks like Johnny Be Good and Jumpin' Jack Flash. Well, Edgar and I sat down, talked about the record, and much, much more. This is part one of my conversation with him. Don't touch that dial. All starts now, kids. It's all rock and roll, and we like it, and it's a pleasure to have you here. And hey, man, I got to tell you, the record you just did, Brother Johnny. Let's just kick it off right out the gate, and it rocks, man. It's a beautiful tribute you did do to your brother, and man, no other person but you. You did a wonderful tribute.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it. And it almost never happened because I was very conflicted about the whole thing. And shortly after Johnny's passing, there was a lot of interest, and I got some offers from various quarters, and that's exactly what it felt like to me. I got questions like, how long is it going to take? And what guest artists can you guarantee? And I said, I have no idea. I'm not even sure that I want to do this. But it felt more like people sensing a business opportunity and just wanting to exploit Johnny's name and memory just to sell some records. And that was not something I was interested in or wanted to be a part of. So I just passed, and a number of years went by, and finally, I started to realize that it was not just these people, but Johnny's true, loyal, and devoted fans that just wanted to hear this happen. And it just seemed like the universe was crying out for it. And I knew I was the if not the only person, the best person to do it. And then there are a few people I want to thank, beginning with my lovely wife, Monique, to whom I've been married for 43 years now. Not bad for rock and roll.
Congratulations, man. That's a big accomplishment. Really?
Especially
in
in California, no less. And we're here in beautiful Beverly Hills. I'm the authentic Beverly Hillbilly out here. And so anyway, I was talking to Monique about it, and I trust her intuition sometimes more than my analytical thinking about things. And we always make these kinds of decisions together. And I knew, like, I thought it might be emotionally difficult, and I knew it was going to take a long time. And when I asked her, she was absolutely positive. She said, well, you always speak of how Johnny's your all-time musical hero, and if it weren't for him, you wouldn't be where you are today. Well, here's your opportunity to acknowledge that, and you owe it to yourself, to your brother, and to the world. And she couldn't have been more right about that, because it just turned out to be a life-altering experience for me in so many ways that it's impossible to put into words. But it turned out to be just the most joyous, uplifting, really cathartic, just a sense of healing and cleansing. And I felt just a great sense of serenity after doing it. And I felt closer to Johnny in a way that I never had expected. So it just, so much love and respect for Johnny. Just this outpouring of of love, and all of the people, like, I can't thank everybody who contributed, all the great artists. They really had heartfelt performances, and like you said, man, it rocks.
But you're very fortunate. You get to go back, right? And when the universe speaks to us, we don't know when, but when it speaks, when it's speaking to you. And you were lucky to record this project and reconnect with Johnny, and maybe something you wanted to say to him and you never did say.
Yeah, absolutely. I had to. It was something that I had to do. My heart wouldn't have allowed it otherwise. I'm very fortunate, as you said, to have been able to do this. And when you were talking about that feeling, that's exactly the feeling that I used to have, because Johnny and I were inseparable as kids. We grew up, we learned to play together, and we had this almost telepathic sort of musical communication. And I always thought, and also we shared the bond of albinism, which gave us a completely different kind of mindset. And I always thought, like, no matter how much time goes by, how old I get, how far I end up from home, there's always this one person who will know and understand what I've been through, and that's my brother Johnny. So, it was just great to be able to do this for him.
It must have been every way, which way, emotional and at times tough. Even to pick these tracks out, like how do you pick all the tunes that you could pick on for the final? It must have been hard, all that, huh? But you're going back, probably listening to some of Johnny's recordings, and then you're going back and forth, and you guys are doing it. I mean, how about going back to that part of it? How was that experience for you?
Well, the first question in my mind was, should this just be a straight ahead blues album, or should it be more of a personal tribute from me to my brother, based on maybe some of his more obscure songs that happen to be my particular favorites? And I decided it should be a balance of both. And there were certain songs that were just obvious, like Rock and Roll Hoochie Coo, Alive and Well, the songs that everybody knows and would expect to be on the record. And then there are a lot of the cover songs that, when in Johnny's rock period with Johnny Winter and, which I think was like one of the greatest rock bands ever.
Yes.
But he songs like Jumpin' Jack Flash and Highway 61 that Johnny loved the Stones, he loved Dylan, and those were things that had to be there. And then there were all of the songs that he wrote early on, like Meantown Blues and I'm Yours and I'm Hers. And to me, that's the real hardcore Johnny Winter. And I think that those are good examples of something that I don't think Johnny got enough credit or appreciation for, which was his fusion of blues and rock. And I think he did it in a way that no one else had before, because as I mentioned, there are a lot of great electric blues players that rocked, people like Stevie Ray, but it was more contemporary blues. And Johnny went all the way back to the old guys that I had mentioned before. And I remember, like, when I heard Meantown Blues for the first time, I thought, wow, it's like this kind of like this old back porch acoustic kind of John Lee Hooker acoustic slide thing, but it's got this drive and energy of really intensity of rock. I say, how did he do that? And those songs obviously had to be on. And then there were songs that were my personal favorites, like Stranger.
I don't know where I'm going, but I can tell you where I've been.
Which is a beautiful ballad. It's really, it reveals a different side of Johnny. It's very sensitive, and I think it shows his vulnerability and sensitivity in a way that he doesn't usually let people see. Self-destructive blues is my favorite Johnny shuffle, that he wrote, and he played a lot of shuffles. He loved shuffles. But as far as the ones that he wrote, and all those songs, they have picking them was actually pretty easy. And then I decided, well, I want to write a few songs, particularly for this album. And the two that I wrote were Lone Star Blues and Into the Line. And since we're talking about it, I'll just explain what I didn't want to make a sound-alike album or a nostalgia album. And I'm not particularly a fan of tribute albums. I feel like if you love the guy, listen to him. Why do you want to listen to somebody trying to sound like that? And I never asked or expected anybody to try to emulate Johnny's style. I never asked anybody to try to play like Johnny. And my idea was to not just get not just the usual suspects, but more of a varied cast of characters. And there are a lot of people that you would expect to be on, like people like Joe Bonamassa, Joe Walsh, Billy Gibbons, Kenny Wayne Shepherd, Warren Haynes, Derek Trucks. I mean, these are the greatest guitar players out there today. And what I did was I didn't think of any particular artist in reference to any special song. So I didn't want anybody to play anything on the album that they didn't feel passionately about. So I let all the people pick the songs. And like with Joe Bonamassa, remember we were going over the song list, and when I got to Self-Destructive Blues, he's, oh wow, you're really going to do Self-Destructive? No, you don't hear that. That's the first Johnny Winter song I ever learned, and played that with my band. And man, I can't wait to do this. And like he came in with Firebird and an old Bassman amp, exact same gear that Johnny played. And I think of all the people, the reason I brought up Joe first is even though I wasn't asking or expecting people to sound like Johnny, I think of all the players, he came the closest to channeling Johnny.
Wow.
His intensity. I used to think of Johnny as like the Coltrane of blues rock. And I don't know if you're familiar with John Coltrane,
Of course,
a jazz tenor player, but he had the ability to extend a solo, and it was like an endlessly inventive stream of consciousness, and it kept building in intensity. And that's the way Johnny played rock. It like he could start out and play like 5 or 6, 7 choruses in a row, and never play the same thing twice, and it would just keep building, in intensity. And that just sheer speed and intensity and soulfulness. I just think that Johnny belongs up there. If you think of all the greatest guitar players, Eric Clapton and Jimi Hendrix and Jeff Beck, I feel, of course, I'm prejudiced being Johnny's brother, but I feel like he belongs right up there with the greatest. And, I wanted to make, this album not only as a tribute to him, but as a tribute to the blues and to the guitar.
That was Edgar Winter. And if you want to see more of this episode, unedited, uncut, join our VIP all access backstage pass in Patreon. Links will be down below. In the meantime, everybody, thank you for being here. Give us a thumbs up. Make sure you subscribe. And remember, it's only rock and roll and we like it. And who loves you, baby? We do. Until then, I'll see you all later. Click on that box right here. Something special is going to pop up. Now get out of here, you crazy kid.